cameraman. Thank you, cameraman. I'm glad, Carl, that you joined our group so you could figure out how to run that. And I could blame it on you when they don't come out right. But I do tell everybody, we have very amateur recordings. But it's not amateur, very raw. So whatever comes out of us is what other people see. We're not made to order and all of that stuff. But I have got... Tonight, we're going to watch a video, and it is a therapist explains why you can't stop eating in the evening. It's a very interesting video, especially for somebody who did a 13-week challenge about eating in the evening. It's terrible living with the leader of the group when you don't abide by the law. So, but would you do your Bible verse and all of that stuff? I don't even know if
First of all, I found this.
Oh.
This is not even script. So today or tomorrow is the first day of Women's History Month. It's famous women in our country's history. So I had to share that with you because...
And we'll all be famous.
Absolutely, for being you. Okay. I have a Bible verse here from the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 2 and 3 of the NLT. It says, share each other's burdens, and this way obey the law of Christ. If you think you are too important to help someone, you're only fooling yourself. You are not that important. I'd like to say Christians should pray for those who are caught by sin, and we should bear each other's burdens. We should not get tired of doing good deeds for each other. Help each other on your keto journey. We all have shortcomings. Do not judge anyone. We are on our keto journey in different places. Everyone does keto differently from each other. When you are helping each other, you are helping yourself. We all need to pray to God and ask Him for guidance. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
Thank you. Maybe I should have read what he wrote before I just made my comments about him being screwing up in the household with his eating, condemning him. He knows that's not what I'm doing, that we're trying to all learn this together. So, okay.
I'm struggling to get thrown under the bus.
I forgot to bring the computer over. I can't start it and stop it.
Well, Chris quit keto, so I'm all alone.
No, you're not. You have us.
Yeah, you are alone.
Yeah. You'll never be alone with this group,
He was on a
girl.
road trip yesterday. I got in the car today. There was a bag with 3 empty, supersized candy bars and an empty soda, a liter of empty
It's
soda.
addictive.
I thought you were keeping it out of my face.
It's rough. What can we do as your group to help you? How about if you have that thrown in your face, text one of us. Say, hey, I'm having a rough time or something. He threw it in my face.
Sometimes we go places that don't have any other option. Like Saturday, we're going to spend all day at Ghostly Manor Thrill Center, and they have nothing but bad options. And I can't take food in, except a cake and ice cream.
I don't know what they're...
Pack it and leave it in your car and go out to your car and eat it. That's what I would do.
You'd find a way to sneak it in too. Don't let it hit you.
I got the big purse.
Join me and fast.
Probably not with cake. I'd be like fasting, okay, frosting.
We
We
make
were,
Hirsch chaffles.
We were at the climbing gym this week, and I sent a picture to Stacy. But literally, just sitting there, we're gonna watch a competition, and for whatever reason, they brought cookies and sat them literally right next to me, free to eat. Smelled so good.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
warm even, like
Shame.
stupid,
Blood, yeah.
right?
Giant
I'm like,
tubs.
they just set all this stuff here where now people can't sit to watch the competition by me, the fat guy. In a gym with a bunch of skinnies.
Next time, just accidentally spill your coffee cup over into all that stuff.
It was challenging, you guys. Like,
I
No,
don't
Emily's
because then
like,
you waste your coffee.
and Emily's like, we'll get you some keto ice cream on the way home. I was like, thank you.
Right.
Because it like was
Rough.
challenging.
Yeah.
I was just like side-eyeing those cookies every little chance.
I did take one bite of a regular cookie this weekend. I'm starting another home-based business. And my sponsor had the company had a gathering this weekend, and my sponsor made homemade cookies. And my husband was eating them.
It will get easier.
I don't hate the way I'm eating, but I know there are things I like that I can't have.
And you'll like how healthy you feel once you get over some of these hurdles. I'll guarantee
I
that.
teach you how to make fudge.
Okay, good one. Yes, she makes some of the best fudge.
I still don't know how to make ice cream.
Easy.
We buy, I think it is Rebel. We buy the Rebel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can send you my mason jar ice cream recipe. It's just literally sweetener, heavy cream, and you just shake it in a mason jar. That's it. You just shake it until it's ice cream.
So there are options out there. Reach out to any of us. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. It's only a 15-minute video, but I plan on stopping it like 4 times so we could have this kind of discussion with it. Okay, it is not that. Her name is Sarah, and she is the binge eating therapist on YouTube. She's not keto, carnivore. She just deals with binge eating. She was a binge eater. And this is what so if you go in to watch some of her other videos, like one we were watching earlier today, the last saying was, make sure you fill up on your proteins and fiber. We went, scratch that one, but her general ideas. And some of the things she got me thinking about when she was talking was, maybe I need to break out my license. I am a licensed hypnotherapist. Maybe I could cure us all if I just go back to that. So.
Yeah, I'm ready to ask.
Here we go again. Don't need live caption. Need this. You know what? When I unplug it, that's when because remember last week we had trouble with this, not wanting to hook back up?
Okay. To get the TV off of that screen first.
No, it goes from there. See, I don't even know how to do that.
And this is a topic that comes up over and over again in my therapy room. And it's this idea of losing control of your eating at the end of the day. People will say,
he went to
I feel
hide
like
in
I
the
could
potty
really
so he
good
didn't have to
I'm in
listen to
control,
it again, I
everything's
think.
fine. And then the evenings come and I just lose control. And I don't understand why. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why it could be that you're struggling with out of control eating at the end of the day and what you might be able to do about it. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you might even guess what number 1 is going to be. And it is the one that people have the most resistance to. So if you hear me talk about number 1 and you're still thinking that is not me, there are 4 more reasons that are not about this. But the first one that we have to consider is Are you eating enough during the day? Now, people are resistant to this being the reason for two reasons. And they are, number one, first of all, they are convinced that they are eating enough. They really believe they're eating enough. And if you think that this is you, this is the question that I sometimes ask. And this is just a broad bracket, but it's a starting point to think about this. Before 3 p.m., are you eating more than 40% of your entire daily intake of food? If you are not, you may benefit from trying to eat more during the day. Which brings me to the next reason why people are very resistant to this idea, because if this is true, the solution is eating more during the day. Now, certainly for me, I didn't want to eat more during the day. I was somebody who struggled with compulsive eating, so I need to make the most of when my appetite is lower, because at some point my appetite's going to swing into out of control. So the thought of eating more food than I necessarily wanted to in that moment or felt like I had to in that moment, no, thank you. I was so stubborn. I was so stubborn about what I thought was true. But the reality was that when I did start eating more during the day, when I did start eating when I was not hungry by getting out ahead of hunger, because what happens is people go, well, I don't feel hungry. They get to the evening, they have a meal, and it's a substantial meal maybe, and they feel full up, and I don't understand why I want to keep eating. I'm not hungry. But your brain is looking at how much you've consumed over the whole day, and actually over the last few weeks and months too. And it wants to make up for any perceived deficit. So therefore, you can feel full up of food and still be hungry. And then, of course, your brain is going to kind of draw you to the higher calorie foods, because if you've just had a big meal, chances are you're not going to be able to just eat that same big meal a day. So the brain's smart. It's like we want more energy, and we know that these types of foods have more energy, take up less space in the stomach. You know, let's go for the sweet stuff. Let's go for this. Let's go for that. The other reason why eating more earlier in the day can be really helpful if you're someone who's pretty dysregulated in your eating is because ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone that's produced in the stomach, has a circadian daily cycle that looks very similar in you and me. And ghrelin starts off lowest in the morning, which is why most of us do not wake up feeling hungry. And it goes on this gradual incline through the day. And then around 7 p.m. we get a spike of ghrelin. We all get this. And the theory goes that it's an evolutionary thing that is prompting us to eat before we go into a fasted state in sleep. Now, the trouble is, when you are trying to eat as little as possible during the day, you're only eating smaller amounts, your ghrelin levels rise quicker throughout the day than they would otherwise. And you still get a spike, but now your spike is going even higher. So there is a natural circadian hormonal cycle that drives us to eat a bit more in the evenings. And we make it worse by eating less in the day. On to reason number 2. And this is decision fatigue.
Okay, pause.
How many times have you had...
Pause. Thank you. So she doesn't really encourage all-day fasting kind of thing and then having your meal at dinner time. But I like the way she explains it, why our body is craving more food, because we need more food. And I know, Evelyn, you eat at 2 o'clock, and you get your good-sized meal in then.
Yep.
So you're still getting your fast in, but you're not waiting until 6, 7 o'clock, whenever, to only eat.
Right.
So I think your type of fasting is probably very good for us. I know we normally don't eat until noon, 1 o'clock. This morning it was earlier than that. Before we got home from the hospital, it was like, what can we eat? But I think that was many other excuses than I needed food. So what do you guys feel about her opinion on?
I really like her explanation.
Yeah.
Why are you craving so much at night? Because you didn't eat enough during the day. And the fact that our bodies, when we're going on a calorie restricted diet especially, then our body's saying, wait, now I'm starving, so it's going to ask for more. And I understand that. But, the fact that it is asking for calorie rich, calorie dense, and I think if you're eating more carnivore, you're going to be consuming calorie dense throughout the day And then we still need to make sure we're not starving our body for that.
Right.
Eat until you're satiated properly. And the fact that she brings in the Greylands is really makes sense, because with Evelyn and I were talking about that a long time ago, because she was reading a book and she got educated and stuff, and she's like, wow, my leptins and Greylands are off, and he was talking about the hormone production and everything, and the fact that when you're always eating in the addiction cycles, it's never ever going to be in the.
You're never going to be hungry.
You're never going to be there properly because your Greyland's off.
Right.
And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So when she explained it to me, she just said, all that'll settle once you start to discipline yourself. And it takes a while to get the discipline in, but the body resets. And so when she explained that, it reminds me, oh yeah, keep doing the right thing. Eat enough every day.
And she says because you're not eating enough during the day, but if you are eating enough during the day and you're eating the right type of food, you can go a long time without eating if you're properly satiated by the food that you're eating, because you're eating according to what your body needs, craves, and has to have in order to survive. And not just survive, but thrive.
Right.
Because we're not eating this way just to become a survivor. We're eating this way because we want to be healthy. We want to spend time with our family. We want to have energy. We want our brains to work up until the moment we die.
Right.
We don't want to have Alzheimer's. We don't want to have diabetes. So we want to thrive with the bodies that we currently are stuck with.
One thing I know she mentioned was the fact that would you really sit down and eat another meal?
Right.
And that's what so many of our doctors say,
Right.
Are you ready for another steak dinner, hot dog dinner, whatever you ate? No, you want that garbage food. You don't have to raise your hand, just interrupt me.
So I think part of it too is that a lot of people in the evening, what do people do at night? They watch TV. And
They're bored.
if they're advertisements or you're bored, you generally turn to food.
We have 4 more things coming up as to
Oh,
what's
shoot.
going on.
Quit jumping ahead. See how you are, teacher's pet.
And you don't have anything prepared, and you have to think about, okay, what am I going to do? I need to cook this, or I need to pop to the shops on the way home. What shall I have for dinner tonight? The problem is we have a very specific part of our brain that is involved in decision making, and we have to use it a lot. So there is a well-documented and researched phenomena called decision fatigue, which means that part of our brain gets exhausted, and making decisions later on in the day is harder. So if you are always waiting until the evening to try to figure out what you're going to have for dinner, what you're going to eat, then you're setting yourself up for your brain just going like, I'm too tired. I don't want to think about all the different things involved in preparing a meal. Let's just order takeaway. Let's just have this. Let's just have that. And I want to stress, there's nothing wrong with ordering takeaway. I'm talking about if you feel like this is something that is compulsive. I also think that many of us, me included, we don't do the best job of predicting how we're going to feel later. So we imagine that evening us is going to be as motivated and as energetic as morning us. So we think, that's okay, we'll figure it out later on. We'll cook a meal when we get in. We'll do this when we'll do that. But we're not predicting how we're going to feel at the end of the day. So if you recognize yourself as potentially struggling with decision fatigue, the way to manage this is to make some decisions in advance. If you know that spending time preparing food at the end of the day is something that you struggle to do, then ask yourself, how do I make this easier? Are there things that I could have ready earlier? Can I reduce the number of decisions that I need to make around food throughout the day so that I have more brain power to make decisions that really feel like choices? And reason number 3, picture this, you are somebody who you are just firefighting all day. Maybe you have got household chores, looking after kids, work, everyone's making demands on you, you're caring for this person, caring for that, you're trying to keep everybody happy, you are putting out all day long. And then evening time comes, maybe the kids are in bed, maybe most of the stuff is done for the day, whatever it might be, and you're like, now I need something for me. So this is the idea of using food as a reward. You need something to reward yourself for all the stress, all the strife.
We're not going to number 3 quite yet. But that decision, I know last night, Ken and I had been out in the garage working, planting seeds and bulbs and doing whatever we were doing out there. And it was just like all of a sudden I got tired and it's like, we got to eat now. And I'm just thankful that we've kind of started putting out 4 or 5 different packages of meat in our freezer, in our refrigerator from the freezer. So we always have something there available just for this reason, because I think I even mentioned to him, oh, we had to order pizza. We haven't ordered pizza in over a year. So do you guys find it difficult? I know I saw Carl back here really
He's
bebopping to it.
smacking me the whole time, like,
That just made the most sense because we will have purchased from the store. Hey, this would be really good this week. And then come the day, though, we didn't make the decision the night before. And so we're like, well, what do you want to do for dinner? I don't know. By the time we've decided, we're already tired of thinking about it. And then who's going to cook it? Well, that'd be us too. Right? So by that point, you just make bad decisions and want a snack. So you just want to turn to junk because now it's quick energy instead. So we've found ourselves doing that over and over again. And then recently decided we were just going to have more steak in the refrigerator.
Nice.
Go have it. And today, I have to say, we were successful. She says, we usually are running behind on Thursdays, and we end up having to eat late. Can we maybe
after.
That's when
after
we
we get home? Can we maybe? I said I was going to go out there and
And it
start
was-
the
it
next
was-
half hour. She
It was
says,
like
"Good."
4:30, and I'm
Yeah.
like, we need to start thinking now about what we're gonna do. If not, we're gonna be eating at 10 o'clock tonight.
Yep. And
when everything's done.
She
And
prepared
I
the
said,
side dish, and I prepared the meat.
I can't
Yeah.
wait till 10 o'clock.
Emily told me that.
Steak.
What?
Steak. That's what we had.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Emily told me today to make sure I cut the chicken up and put it in the brine and everything. So I did that around 1 o'clock. I had an alarm set for 3, but I was just like, I have time. I can just do it now. And then I ended up cutting it all wrong. I even grabbed the
So
wrong
we
meat.
were supposed to have chicken breast chunks, and then I get home from work and we brine it in pickle juice. Because
Because why not?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I get home from work and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get dinner ready real quick. And I like get the bowl out and I'm like, why is the chicken like it's cut so small? I'm like, these are not chicken chunks. This is like diced, like little pieces, like this big. I'm like, that's not a chicken chunk. And I'm like, why does it look
They
like
weren't that small.
thigh meat? So I'm like,
Because it was.
because it was.
So you took it out of the brine and you mixed in some Parmesan cheese and you made little chicken nuggets, right?
Oh, we did pork rinds.
Oh,
Yeah. We ended up doing buffalo chicken like salad with it.
Okay.
She puts it on,
Like little
Leaves.
romaine leaves.
Yeah.
right? Like a taco.
All right.
Adapted, not ruined.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just good
But
to
we
have
ate early.
things ready.
Yeah.
So that we
Is
wouldn't
that
be
a
late.
struggle with you, Sherry?
We were struggling to figure out who was going to cook, and like neither of us want to do any cooking at this point. So we decided one day that we were just going to start taking turns, and tonight was his night. So I holler up at 5:30, and I'm like, "You've been home a half an hour, and I have to leave in a half an hour." And so he came down, and we had a nice little argument because why not? And then he made eggs. I still didn't get out of the house till 10 after 6.
All right.
it's okay. We love you.
It's good to see you. We missed you.
It is good to see you.
Yeah.
I made
Yeah.
eggs today too.
He didn't want to go.
Horribly.
Ken made eggs for breakfast.
I did
this
not know
morning
you can
when
make
I got
eggs
home.
bad.
I didn't
I
either.
didn't.
And then
And then I made them bad today.
But for a week.
Lots of butter.
I've had
Turn it
a
down
lot.
low, brother.
I've had a lot, like really, really long last 3 weeks. It's just been tough. It's been tough.
He's
I
had
did
to
that
learn
one-
how
I
to
did-
cook eggs since we've been married.
I had a victory.
I just
did have a
screwed him up.
victory this week. I was craving Swiss rolls, something fierce. And I had to pay the gas bill. And right across the street, my favorite place to buy Swiss rolls. And I walked right in there, walked all the way back to the refrigerator, grabbed pickle snaps, and grabbed a piece of beef jerky, paid, left.
Well, good. Yes.
I had a little victory.
That's a good
That's a
victory.
big victory.
That's huge.
I know that Danny, one of our friends who,
Congratulations.
was Danny,
Danny Beach.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was there. So you probably got to meet Danny on Saturday, but you might not remember who he is.
He and his wife with the Bethany with the red hair.
Yeah, I guess that's
So he had a big victory. He has trouble Home Depot and candy bars.
Yep.
And he actually checked out, paid for it, but had a discussion with the male cashier about it. Showed him his before picture and gave the cashier the candy bar.
Wow.
You know, that's a good victory. Yeah. We've got to take any of them we can get where we.
Even
So,
if we make the decision too late.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you do then?
Make the decision.
I mean,
Yeah.
the whole drive there was a nightmare. I took the wrong way, ended up driving probably who knows how much longer, which made me just think about it that much longer. And I'm like, I'll just have two.
So
Like
So-
all sorts of justifications in my head, you know? And then I'm like, I'm not doing it. And I paid the bill, and I just like determined, you know?
So on moments like that, for me, like if I'm home and I have that intense craving for something like that, usually it's a Reese's peanut butter candy bar.
With you.
So I can do a Lily's and a spoonful of peanut butter, like Lily's chocolate and a spoonful of peanut butter. I can put that together pretty quickly. But any of like the cake cravings or things like that, they have like little 90-second microwavable keto cakes. I had a friend who lost 130 pounds in the first year she was on keto, 130 pounds in 1 year. And she made herself a molten, gooey center chocolate cake every single day.
Like those mug cakes.
Nice.
A mug cake.
I
What's
mean,
the recipe?
traditional lava cakes don't have flour in them anyway.
What's the
Right.
recipe?
So
I'll send it to you if you want it.
Yeah.
I've got a recipe for a cheesecake that you can do in your microwave, a lava
No,
cake
no.
that you can do in your microwave.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
And she would have it with a scoop of ice cream on top of the lava cake and have it every single day. And she still lost 130 pounds in the first year of keto.
Yeah, it helped her stay even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Because it's a mental trick for that one. You're not completely,
Right.
you're not avoiding the flavor. You're substituting, so you basically you don't end up with the
There's-
same chemical.
there's several
Yeah.
different mindsets of it. Like don't replace everything. And it's like, if I didn't have something sweet, if I didn't have the fudge available to me, I started making the chocolate peanut butter flavored fudge when I craved the Reese's peanut butter cups. Because I know, number one, it's made with keto chow, so it has vitamins and minerals and
Right.
good stuff in it. And number two, I can have one piece and be satisfied. It's like, I can just have a piece and be happy, and I don't have to go searching for that thing that's going to make me happy because I just needed a little flavor of it. And I'm done.
Yeah.
Always crave sweets every day.
Yeah.
It's because you want that reward. Because you did.
Which is coming up.
perfect.
Anna Lemke, in her book Dopamine Nation, she talks about like pain and pleasure in the reward system being like this seesaw. So you press down on one and the brain wants to recalibrate and come back to balance. So this can be a way, maybe even neurologically, of trying to balance our reward system. You might think, oh, I just shouldn't need a reward, but your brain is saying something else. Now, ideally, the solution to this is to look at your life more broadly and go, okay, how do I make myself something of a priority? How am I speaking to myself that's causing more pain, making me feel more exhausted and stressed, that I need the food in order to soothe? And I also want to say that food is just the quickest, most convenient way for many of us to get a reward hit. Because eating is inherently rewarding. We have particular kinds of food that are designed to be extra rewarding. And it's instant, it takes little effort, it's there and it's available. And so when you don't have time and you're exhausted, of course, food seems like a very attractive option. Now, I appreciate not everyone is able to just, I'm just going to change my life and make my whole life more rewarding. I appreciate it's not as simple as that. There's a lot more nuance to this subject of reward, and even the awareness of it can really help to manage it so that you can still get some kind of reward around food without it turning into a compulsive, out of control thing. I have 2 conversations on YouTube about this subject where I go into it in more depth. I'll link to them below. They're both conversations with Stephanie. One is about using food as a reward, and the other is a book review of the book Dopamine Nation. So if you recognize yourself as somebody who's using food as a reward, you might want to check out those 2 videos because it will give you a better overview of what might be going on. And reason number 4 is the idea of
We don't want to hear what 4 is. Rewards. We were talking about that. Darren, you're being quiet. Are you rewarding yourself with food, or do you pretty well sustain from rewarding a bowl food?
I pretty well stick to just the 3 meals a day. I mean, I occasionally, if I forget to take my meds with my dinner or something, I might have to have a little something to take my meds with. But other than that, I don't snack. I'm surprised because I used to snack all the time, but since I started making, I call it fluff. It's just maybe whipping cream flipped up. Right now, I'm using a protein powder, isopure protein powder, because it's only got 1 carb in it,
Nice.
and just making that for dessert every evening. So I have my little bit of sweets with my evening meal, but I
What's
eat
your recipe?
just heavy whipping cream, 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and 1. I've only made it with the isopure stuff once. I just use 1 scoop of it. It's not. I may try doing 2. Isopure is kind of expensive for my budget,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to stretch it as far as possible, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. I was making it with some of the keto chow that Stacy and Ken blessed me with, but I ran out of it finally.
And then
You just whip it up.
your-
Just put it in a mixer, whip it up, and it's basically flavored whipped cream is all it is, basically.
Oh,
It's quick and easy to make, and
We make keto fluff. It's actually a thing of cream cheese
Mm-hmm.
with heavy whipping cream, and sweetener and vanilla.
yeah.
Chris makes it, so I don't know the measurements,
Oh,
but it's delicious.
yeah.
Sounds about like my cherry delight filling recipe. Cup of, well, it's not keto friendly the way I made it. Just a cup of powdered sugar, cup of cream cheese, and a cup of, or 8 ounces of whipping cream, and
That sounds delicious.
whip it together.
But
I
we-
brought one to your house one night whenever we were having the dinner group. I
Oh, nice.
made one and brought one. And
That's
You guys
one of my
like-
favorite desserts.
Well, you could do that with the powder.
yeah, I could do it.
Yeah.
I could make it.
The swerve.
I could
Yeah.
make it with
But I wouldn't
swerve.
use that much. Don't use that
No.
much swerve.
Yeah,
It's
I'd be
powerful
like,
stuff.
woo!
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, I know. I got swerve it all. It's pricey.
So rewarding
I was
ourselves
thinking
with
about
food,
the-
Almost tastes cold if you have too much of it.
Oh,
Plus,
yeah.
it'll give you gastrointestinal issues
but
Yeah, well,
if you have too much at once.
much. I was thinking about the reward systems and the fact that we do push ourselves, and she said, how much stress are you putting yourself under? I saw you go, hey man, and I was,
you haven't
Now,
gotten the text
forgive me.
message from me.
Okay,
Andrew was
no.
blessed with one, remember?
I'll get mine eventually, I'm sure. Well, I hope not. I hope everything will be fine. I often just flip things back to thinking about behavioral things and training dogs, and it's just like people. the dopamine ups and downs and all of that. And so I was thinking about reward systems. And ages ago, somebody suggested, we were talking about reward systems for dogs. They went, it's just like the 5 love languages. Everybody has their own love language as a person, right? And so food it's the foundation, it's primary reinforcer, food, water, shelter, those kind of things. But then aside from that, then there are the additional love languages, right?
When your needs are met.
When
What
your
is
needs
it
are met.
that you need to feel loved?
Yeah, and those are each one of those are important, but there's a whole lot of different things that can give us that dopamine hit, and it doesn't have to be food. But it's the easiest, and it is habitual, and because our body says, hey, remember that one time you were feeling stressed like this, and you ate a candy bar, and that felt real good because I got feeling better, and your body's like, oh yeah, I remember that, let's do that, and it just becomes an automatic cycle because you have a memory that's how you fixed it before,
Right.
even though it wasn't a healthy situation or a healthy choice at the time. We didn't think about it. We just said, boy, I feel better now.
You don't remember the crash.
No, well,
Right? Don't remember the good time.
I didn't care about the crashes. And, I was just like, thank God I'm not in that moment of, depression or whatever. I fought my way out and then crashed on something else. It was a whole different drug cycle, but that's just crazy. I don't want to do that. But when I think about the idea that we push ourselves too much for other things and cause ourselves so much pain that we have to seek a reward.
Yes.
And then I began that was why I started thinking about a specific dog training client and how if you push him too hard, you can see it in his eyes and you just have to ease back and give him a reward, and just stop and reward. And it made me rethink what I do normally with a dog, but also it made me think about what do I do with myself? If I'm pushing myself and immediately I need to start catching myself earlier and go, wait, that's too much.
Either that or
Reward.
I can give you a shock collar.
Let me have the controls for it, please.
So can we set it off of your Wi-Fi so when I'm feeling the need I can shock him?
Yeah.
They make those now. Yeah. But I started thinking about how we put ourselves under so much pressure to perform, to achieve or whatever that's causing
Living anymore.
emotional stress, that the only way out of it is to find a pleasure source, so that we can feel
to reward yourself.
to get back in balance. And yet we probably need to either learn how to tolerate or just
punish ourselves less.
Yeah, just
so
punish
that we
less.
don't have to reward ourselves so much.
And then you achieve.
I like that.
You can achieve incrementally without the amount of stress.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that would be better focused on, and that's hard to do. But if we started doing that and kept ourselves in check to behave regularly instead of I've got to get this done. Under who? Who put you under that obligation? I don't live by obligations. I stopped doing that for my family. When my relatives, oh, well, so-and-so's here, you got to do such, this, that, and the other. No, I don't. For my own health, safety, and sanity, I'll visit them once or twice, but I'm not going to hang out with them and then be belittled, various things like that. It's like we don't have to live by obligation. We put ourselves under so much personal stress and rule to get this done or to do that or to make people feel better or to whatever reason.
Right.
And so I think that's something that we should probably all observe on ourselves. So
And I've got a little handout
breathe
here.
a little bit,
I've also got a handout that I printed out from my class I'm taking. And that's one of the things on these quick facts that I'm going to give out that is mentioned, yes. And what I think can really help all of us is this group.
Yeah.
Just by being able to get together and talk about it and find out what is causing me to do this or that or whatever. And there's so much more to the ketogenic lifestyle than just the food we're putting in our mouth.
Transitionary eating. And this is one that doesn't get spoken about as much, but we go through our lives and we have to transition in different modes, from one mode to another. We have different ways that we operate, different patterns depending on our situation. So how you are with your family is going to be different to how you are with the postman, hopefully, or how you show up at work, or who you are when you're doing chores. We have these ways that we have to transition. So one of the common ones is transitioning from work mode into non-work mode. And from a brain perspective, it's like we're on one track and we have to lift ourselves off and put ourselves onto another track. It's a little bit like, I've never related to this personally, but people will say sometimes that when they go on holiday, it takes them like 3 or 4 days to get into the holiday mode to be able to change tracks. This is also tied in with something called monotropism, which is this idea if you're somebody, particularly those on the autism spectrum or who have ADHD, they can become very fixated on their interests or what they're focused on. So it can feel almost mentally painful to switch onto another track. And food becomes this transitionary object, whereby because food kind of shifts our biology a little bit, you eat something, right? And say you finish work and you have a couple of biscuits or cookies for my non-British followers. You have a couple of biscuits, and so that there are biological changes that go on in your body when you do that. Your blood sugar starts to go up, your body will produce insulin. There's a chemical change which just may make transitions easier. One of mine was if I had been socializing with people and then suddenly I'm on my own. And I go from this social, energized Sarah to like no stimulation, nothing. That switch, it doesn't, people know what I'm saying. I find it hard to describe it in a very rational way. It felt almost painful. And it was a really common trigger for me to then go and binge, and I couldn't really understand why. But thinking about it from a transitionary perspective, I was like, oh, okay, this makes a bit of sense. When it started to make sense, when it happened, I could go, oh yes, I am experiencing like a strange sort of emotional pain that seems to happen when I am transitioning from social mode into alone mode. Because it wasn't that being alone was painful, it was the transition that was uncomfortable. And to handle this, what really helped me was the awareness of that. So I could name it as opposed to this just uncomfortable feeling that showed itself in a desire to eat. And for some people, it's about feeling that discomfort of the transition and allowing it to be. Because emotional experiences are more painful and much harder to bear when we don't understand them. When we understand them, like the brain can calm down a bit and we can just tolerate the discomfort a little bit easier. And then the last reason is simply,
I've finished this day. This day got me. And you want to. There's a lot of transitions that go on. And I don't even think it needs to be transitioning from like all day at work to coming home to this environment or whatever. It could be little things throughout the day, the transitions. I'm sure, Evelyn, when you have to go from certain classrooms to certain classrooms or whatever, out to the playground, those transitions could really stimulate you all over the place.
When I was thinking about her transition as a child, I remember taking family vacations, and my mom would buy us whatever we wanted to eat for in the car for our trips, wherever, like, because if we were going to be in the car for 3 or 4 days, she didn't want kids that were going to be grumpy. So she's like, you want Twizzlers, you can have them. If you want this, you can have them. You want chips, you can have them. If you want cookies, you can have them. If you want this, whatever you wanted as snacks in the car. She would take us shopping before our big trip. And then we would drive to New Mexico. We would drive to Texas.
So instead she had sugar high kids.
Yeah. So like we were trapped in a huge van though. I mean, it was a big diesel 11-passenger van. And there was just the 3 kids and the mom and dad and the dog. And
There's plenty of room to play.
yeah, we each had our own bench seat. So we didn't have to pester each other, and we each had our own things to do and our little lap desks with stuff to color and puzzles to do and all kinds of stuff. But she would let us have whatever we wanted. And her idea of vacation was eating from one end of the country to the other. And that was every vacation to us as a kid. It was like you ate from the moment you got in the car until you got to your destination. And I was telling him the other day, it's so weird to get into a car on a long trip and not be shoving food in my face.
Ooh.
That was hard for me because my whole entire growing up life, that's all we did. We got in a car for a long trip and just ate the whole time. And before going keto, I did a thing when we went to our first trip to Florida that I packed a special snack and a special, like a small toy, like a dollar store toy, in a little bag, like little brown paper bags or cutesy bags from the dollar store for our kids. And every time we crossed the state line, they got another bag. So it was one snack and one toy for a different state. Well, partway through the trip, the toy they got was like a DVD. And we had a DVD player in the car. And I'm like, all the way through Georgia, we're going to be watching a movie. It's going to be great. But it was like, that was a step towards the right direction. Like,
Right.
we didn't eat the whole way across the country or down to Florida or whatever. But it was still a reward of food in the car. And it's like, I needed to get away from that. But going keto is just like, I really missed it the other day. When we had a long trip, I was just like, I want my hand to be in a bag of chips. I want my hand to be shoving things in my mouth that I don't need.
Instead of an emotional transition, that's more of an environmental transition.
And-
Either way, it's still kind of the same.
I know that even before I started keto, somebody had explained that as your eyesight is being so overstimulated, you're hearing all these different noises for your different sensories to all level out, you want to eat. And so I accepted that. That's why I always ate on car trips, is because I'm hearing so much and seeing so much. And I know it's a big issue for myself even today. And when we did fine going to Texas for the cruise, coming back, every time he had to stop to pee, we needed gas, we needed coffee. It was like, oh, but that's keto. I can eat that. And I ate my way back.
Mm-hmm.
Where here I'd done the whole cruise with no issues, no cravings, normally I get in
That was
car.
also a reward for yourself for doing the whole cruise with no issues. You rewarded yourself on the way home. It's like, it's still keto, so I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
It's a reward for myself.
And I don't know if it was so much for doing so good on the cruise, because it is just a continuing thing.
Yeah.
Like, I need to have something in the car.
Chris
So,
and I started that when we got together and decided we were going to take road trips. We started, him and I would go to the store, gas station, and we'd just pick up whatever we wanted and we'd put it in the car. And whoever was driving was like, give me this, give me that. And we would just eat the whole trip. Mostly.
yeah, I have gotten better about it. Ken doesn't seem to, if I offer him bites of the food of whatever I'm eating, he'll usually eat it. But you don't actually like give me, kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's hard. All the temptations we have in life.
Yeah, we decided our
So
daughter needs
appealing.
to see this so that she understands the transitions and that stuff too, because she
It's
can't
not about
switch from-
eating in the evenings, it's the transitions.
Simple
and
one.
all the
Always
emotional
sounds
part.
Yeah. And that's what I really liked her listening
We
to her.
experience food cues, as in CUES, nudges and prompts to eat. This is a primal programming. And we're also creatures that are capable of building habits, where we can go on autopilot in certain situations. So the combination of this primal tendency to be cued to eat food alongside the capacity to build habit and go on autopilot is a perfect combination for having that experience whereby you just feel like you have to eat because it's what you do. And so then to not eat or overeat in the evenings feels uncomfortable. It feels like this gaping hole. Now, let's say you were a smoker and you wanted to stop smoking, and you have a cigarette every day at 4 p.m. That's one of your patterns. It is going to come to 4 p.m. and you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like something is missing. Now, ideally, what you want is to go, well, at 4 p.m., it's not just a case of I'm not going to do this thing. It's a case of I'm going to do something else instead. People try to change their habits by saying, I'm just going to stop doing this thing. And I'm a big fan of habit disruption. So if there is a really strong pattern to, okay, you have dinner and then you want this thing and it looks like this and it looks like that, is to try to mix it up, like creating bigger gaps. Let's say you normally have dinner and then the overeating starts. Giving yourself half an hour, sitting somewhere else when you eat. I'm always careful about how I talk about this stuff, because if I talk about it as habit and habit disruption, it sounds like I'm saying, some people will hear it this way anyway, oh, these are the things you need to do to eat less. There is nothing wrong with having habitual patterns around food. It's probably necessary to free up mental space. If you feel like, however, that your habit is very compulsive and that you really are eating a large amount of food, look at the first 4 first, because I think people are very quick to go, oh, it's just habit. And habit is absolutely going to be a part of it, probably for pretty much everyone. But I think it's quite rare or less likely that it's only habit, but there will be some people for whom that is the case. And there is plenty of stuff out there about breaking habits, building new habits, making small changes, shifting this, changing this a bit. And I don't think it's an area that's wise for me to go into in any great detail, because I think people will hear it and try to apply it in a way that actually may end up being a backlash, especially if you're somebody who has quite deep-rooted or long-standing struggles with food. So anyway, those were the top 5 that came up to me when I was thinking about this. There are probably others, so if there are other reasons that you can think of, pop them in the chat below. Always interested in expanding the conversation, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.
The first 4 can be triggers to create the habit. So that's why she said, hey, look at the first 4. Because it doesn't always boil down to habit, but it can. If you're compulsively doing those first 4, then they'll create a habit in those situations absent-mindedly. And what she was talking about was called counter conditioning. So you put a replacement behavior in at the same time or same situation, something that's usually ideal or healthy or just an alternative.
Yeah,
So
to find something.
when working with our kids at school that are, like she said, single focused on a certain habit or a certain thing or a certain stimulation, they say have them do something they can't do if they're having this stimulation. Like if they're saying something over and over and over again, put on some music and ask them to sing to it. Like as simple as the ABC song or something like that. Have them do something that they can't do while they're focusing on that stimulation. So if it's, something with their hands that they're fiddling with, have them draw a picture. Not necessarily if you're doing something with your mouth, like if you're stuffing your face and you don't want to be stuffing your face, find something else to do with your hands and your mouth that you can't do that. Go sing a song. Go brush your teeth. Go do something other than what you're doing so that you're still using those same things, but you're not using them for what the stimulation is.
I know that if I'll go work on a craft or, something with my hands, I don't want to be eating while I'm working on papers or whatever. But one thing that I have started doing is right after dinner, I go brush my teeth and put my bite guard in for the night. And he'll say, you want to have ice cream? No, I got my bite guard in.
Already ready for bed.
Yeah. But then I go to bed 3 hours before him.
Oh, so when you blame him for eating the ice cream the other night, it's kind of your own fault. I see. I got your back, Ken. I got your back.
You two can't go walking together anymore. They went and did 26 laps around the mall or something
About that money.
the other day.
I just shy of hitting my daily goal when we finish. So
That's what I was just going to say. Sherry, you're not aware of our goals. We're going to no, we're not letting you off the hook for this. But there is, 6 more weeks in this semester. What we did was at the beginning of it, we had 13 weeks. Everybody just kind of set a goal. It didn't have to be food oriented, or it could just be a goal for 13 weeks. And for myself, I'll make it very brief because you didn't hear the pork belly story before you left last week.
Uh-oh.
I will not spend for the 13 weeks. I set aside $130. I will not spend over $10 a week at the grocery store. I am trying to eat down my freezer, my pantry, learn how to create other things with what we already have. And I was doing very good on it, and I was taking $10 a week. 1 week I only spent $5, another week I spent $12. Well, we went to Costco, and I ended up buying pork belly for $24. And so, but I took it out of my envelope, so I'm down to, what is it, Ken, $40 or $50 I have left for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing, Sherry, that I'm doing is I have a very bad habit of bad-mouthing myself. And that's why I was raising my hand. And so anytime I tell myself something really negative and bad, I have to send that same message out to somebody in our group. And so I hadn't chosen to send you a message yet because I didn't want you to get the message that Andrew got last Sunday when I was a backwoods hick, was fat, I typed it all out. That's what I was telling him he was. No, that's what I was telling myself.
It was
I
the
was.
wildest message I've gotten in a while.
And so it helps me to stop and think, would I say that to somebody else? So, and Andrew's walking many, many miles. Emily's climbing mountains. Rock walls?
Rock wall.
Oh, okay.
Close enough.
Who's doing those two?
Artificial mountains.
Climb a
Yeah.
mountain if you were in the mountains.
Ken's doing Bible verses or love poems to me or something daily, and not snacking in the evening.
I'm doing bad on both.
He's struggling.
That's
Same.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm right even. I'm still at 42 steps a day average. I'm just like, because I've had some days where I put some miles in. I didn't get done before she got home. And she pulls up along next to me. What you doing?
He's out walking. Like, hey,
You-
what's up?
You want to ride?
It was like-
No, I didn't offer a ride.
Good.
I just told her to go away.
I was like, I'm gonna give him a ride.
I'll see you all.
And see, Darren, how are you doing on your?
Doing good. I'm keeping up with the walking and exercising and the quiet time. I've actually increased my quiet time here lately. I read a book on hearing from God, and it has a 40-day devotional in the back where you do a small soap Bible study for a set of scripture. And so now I'm getting up even earlier and doing that before I start my day.
Wow.
So, like today, I got up at 3:15 in the
Oh my
morning.
gosh, dear.
No,
Nice.
thank
That
you.
is intense.
Thank you.
Miss Evelyn, how are you doing on your
I'm
walking?
doing really good. I had 2 days I was off of work this week because there's some nasty bug going around at work. And but Monday started our exercise challenge at work. We're supposed to exercise a half an hour a day. And I'm like, I'm not getting up to exercise and stuff. But I have exercises I have to do for my torn rotator cuff. So I sat in my chair and I did these exercises for at least a half an hour that day. And I have already felt like my shoulder is strengthened, and to the point that, I know this is weird, but I lifted my arms to wash my hair this morning and I did wince in pain. And I'm like,
Great.
the last
Yeah.
2 days I couldn't get up and walk around because I didn't feel well. But to be able to lift my arm above my head or do anything without even thinking about it, was like, I couldn't do that 2 days ago.
Well, keep
So-
doing your
Well,
exercise.
good, yeah.
Therapy works. I had to do a lot the last
So I
4
just
years.
did my exercise where I do my thing above my head, and then I was like, well, I feel strengthened and I feel better, and so
Feel free to do it in the evenings while you're sitting here with us. We don't mind. So, okay, Carl, what about your book reading?
Oh, horrible. But I've had a lot of other things happening, so I've been researching and reading various things for
Other things.
work and dog training, and it takes me through the nutrition path because I'm always looking for healthy food for dogs, because I'm a firm believer that a carnivore ketogenic dog is a dog that has a clear mind. And she and I end up reading some of the same authors, and but one was talking about when animals, and then she's like, wait a minute, that's the same quote. So we've shouted things across the room at each other. from time to
so
time.
he'll be watching his dog videos and stuff, and I'll be like, hey, I can sit and watch that because it's talking about ketogenic diet for humans.
it's
It's the
amazing.
same. We're
Yeah.
carnivores. Dogs
Yeah.
are carnivores.
And we had no idea that they were
Should
going
be
to
the
start quoting some of the same people, but it was just talking about the clarity of mind that I get. So I've been doing lots and lots of research on that. It's not taking me down the books that I want to finish, but I will finish at least one book by the end.
Okay.
So I'm happy about
Not
that.
at the end of the month.
No.
That's today.
No.
No. Well, by the
So-
end
By
of
the
our,
end of
our
our
6 weeks, and then I have
yeah,
another
we
one
have
I'm
6
gonna
more
start, so we're
weeks.
good there. But the eating thing, I have not been eating on the overnights. Be trying to eat enough. Even like the other day, she's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "I cut up some cheese and got some meat so that I had plenty of fat in me, so that I didn't get up
During the
overnight,
night.
and I don't have any cravings. I'm not so much worried about eating late into the evening. I'm not one of those, what Dr. Boz always says, don't eat past 3 or 4 or
Don't eat
something.
past If you eat past 1 o'clock, you eat sardines.
Yeah, none of that. I'm not worried about that kind of stuff.
That's for
that's
each person
Yeah.
their own.
Yeah.
I just know that if I'm not satiated when I go to sleep, I'll probably wake up with some weird craving. And so I'm just, maybe I'll eat some fatty meat and a little bit of cheese. And then it's been really helping a lot because I'm still got plenty of fat in me, and I'm still cruising in the morning, and a little coffee, a little keto brains. I'm still good until about noon. So, and I don't think about food that much during that time, and
Okay.
that's really been helpful because when I was getting up in the middle of the night with cravings, I always sought something I didn't need, and because I was just chemically imbalanced and it wasn't full. So I would start making those. One, I was already too fatigued to eat. Why am I eating in the middle of the night? But I would start searching for stupid things. And and so instead of that, if I'm healthy and made good decisions before I went to bed, then and that's been really helping a lot. I feel better overall for it.
So, Sherry, we have 6 weeks from tonight. Next week, it'll only be 5 weeks. When you come back next Thursday, come with a goal, something you're going to set for yourself for the 5 weeks.
Oh, I'm gonna move more.
This,
It's getting nice out. I'm gonna move more. I've already started. I went to the park with my daughter the other day.
okay.
And Zeke. So we didn't walk fast because Zeke walks. He's this little 2-year-old, and he's
Okay.
itty bitty little thing. He's got these little tiny legs.
Oh, you mean I could probably keep up with him now?
Probably.
Okay, good. That's the kind of people to walk with.
Kiara's up here with her dog who wants to go fast, and I'm back here with Zeke who wants to go slow, and she keeps walking backwards so we can have a conversation.
Okay, so next week on Thursday, we want to hear about what you did extra this week for your exercise goal. And then for our next semester, if we dare all meet again, we'll do this
We
again.
better meet again.
Because this has been, I think, really good, a good challenge for all of us to set something to work for without going, a year's resolution that we know we fail by February, by this time I'm done with them.
I quit doing those. I just
And so,
My New
And
Year's resolution is to never make any New Year's resolutions.
yeah, that's a very
She's done
good
good so
one.
far.
And so, like I said last week, if you screw up on it, look yourself in the mirror. I'm sorry, and go on. And it's a lot easier said than done. Okay, I told you about the pork belly. I even made sure I made a note on here so I'd remember to fess up about that. Future topics. What do we want to talk about? I would like to see, and Amanda's not here, but you and Amanda do something on different herbs, medicinal things that are really great for in our ketogenic lifestyle, and other things than all the medicines the doctors want to give us.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think it would be just another thing we need to do. I did.
This is all casual, like, oh,
yeah.
I got that already. It's
Yeah,
already done.
she already knows all that stuff. So
I was
yeah,
already like,
I was going to start going through my encyclopedia and flag the herbs that I do have. If you want to look through of what I bought, the medicinal end of gardening is new to both of us, right, Ken? You haven't gotten into medicinal before since school
No.
about 70 years ago.
It's funny.
Oh, 100. Okay. But
Wow, how many millions of times have I told you don't exaggerate?
yeah.
Can't help it.
so, but other than coming up with that, okay.
Yeah, but that's all, folks.
Yeah. I run across something in my studies or on YouTube or whatever that just triggers me into what we're going to talk about tonight, kind of thing. So if anybody's got ideas, maybe I should have each one of you do a presentation. This would take care of the rest of our weeks for this. Oh, don't scowl like that.
I've been holding my breath for the last minute.
I saw that. This was something, just a little quick fact sheet from one of my chapters and I'll let you guys know I have one more chapter and I could take my final exam.
That's awesome.
So my goal now is to finish it and graduate. It might take me 27 times of doing my final exam by my 70th birthday. So
You can do it. 30 days to go, girlfriend.
yeah, that's right.
No,
So-
and the proper way to say it is 30 more shopping days until our birthday.
Oh, nah, I don't make big deals with all of that.
We know her love language ain't receiving gifts.
Nah. But I had highlighted some things on my copy, but you guys could read through them and you'd probably highlight the same things. But that was I found interesting the page that it summarized up so much good stuff. I already gave you guys tickets. I'm not going to give you the other stuff.
Because you'll have nothing to draw from.
Someplace I have some tickets from last week for you too.
Okay.
So if you guys will think of it, even send me a message or whatever about other topics that we want to talk about. I think would be really good. Darren, any church information?
Just the Easter service is coming up at the end of next month. It's Good Friday, 5 and 7, and then they got Saturday at 5, and then Sunday 9, 11, and 1 again.
Okay.
We have that in Finley.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're going to have a 5 o'clock on Saturday again, just for that
I
one
don't
week.
have to miss church on Easter. Both of our parents. My mom does breakfast at 9 and his mom does lunch at noon. And my mom's an hour away. So I don't know how I'm supposed to do all the things and find church too. We
Yeah.
ended up going to Perrysburg last year.
Yeah.
We want to go up to Perrysburg. We would like to go to all the other campuses. Maybe come summertime or something. We ought to think about, getting together and going as a group to the different campuses and checking them out. So, okay, let's do a drawing. Mr. Ken, Oh, and Amanda said she wanted to win. She's not even here.
Oh, that's right.
081.
That's me again.
Yeah,
Nice.
Nice pick, Ken.
Ken.
Good pick.
I was so excited.
Does somebody else want my winnings? Are you sure? I feel bad.
Careful of that.
Well, you've already felt bad this week, so don't feel bad again.
Only
Good.
once a week.
Susie crying feel better, so
Yeah.
we're working through that.
Don't
Yeah,
worry.
I'm gonna
Between
get
them,
a
you've had
wow.
weeks of.
I feel bad.
We even went
Yeah,
with
like-
majority of the veggies we've made.
Father God, we thank you for each one of us being able to make it tonight. And those who needed to be here were able, and those that couldn't be here, we just ask that you bless them and take care of them. And those who have decided not to be able to be here for whatever reason, Lord, we just ask that they be encouraged and that they understand how to support each other at home. And Father, we just thank you for the insight that the presenter gave in the video, that we all take into consideration each one of those points, and that we can re-examine how our behavior is and what is it that triggers us into habitual or binge eating and all those kind of things. We just ask you to continue and strengthen us in all of our goals, and just give us the amount of grace. Remind us to give ourselves grace as we go through the day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Carl.
I think that's what we miss most.
Whoops, I should have waited for Sherry to get done